Yo,
Hey, what's up?
hey, how's it going?
It's going okay. It's going okay. How are you doing?
Nice, I'm not doing bad. Just finally I think recovered from plat fight. Gonna try to have a productive day.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm sorry. I heard you weren't feeling well at Plat Fight, and that's why you DQ'd.
Yeah, I like got food poisoning like right after I showed up, and that kind of
No,
threw
that is
kind of threw
actually
me off for
nightmare
the whole
fuel.
weekend.
Yeah, that
But
definitely turbo sucks.
managed to still have a pretty good time. I like lost my debit card too. I was like feeling super sick, and I was like, wait, my debit card's gone, and I just never found it.
Oh my God, wait, that's terrible. Did you cancel it?
Yeah, no. Hopefully, I'll get a new one this week. But it was a combo of a few things this weekend. But I am
Yeah.
back, so excited to do this
Okay, that's
lesson.
good. Yeah, I've definitely been looking forward to this. There's just a lot of things I actually want to talk about. One thing definitely is the Mars stuff like we were talking about yesterday. Like I swear I've put so many hours into Mars this year and he's play feels like a low tier every time I play him. Uh Another thing I want to talk about is like trying to be play Fox more proactively because I feel like whenever I play Fox, I get super like trapped into this very I don't know how to put it in like this game plan spammy style where like I have to just keep doing one thing and one thing only in order to
Mm.
win.
Mm-hmm.
uh and like breaking out of that kind of so I don't have to like I like literally whenever I play Fox League I have to go back watch one of your introductory lessons with somebody before I can play the game and like actually do well.
Mm.
It's like the only way I can actually play the character. I would also if we have enough time like to talk about some of the or at least I have one example choke game of mine against Kem where game one of our set I like the game was going basically as good as it could have, and then other than like I gave a oh my gosh, I gave a few free stocks and it ended up
Mm-hmm.
going last stock because of that, and then I just died to like a random up smash, and it's like after missing like a guaranteed rest setup, um, or not even going for it because it felt like I got the wrong drift on my jump, so like I felt like I had to give it up, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
um, and like also then dealing with I guess like kind of the toxicity around that where it's like, oh, maybe uh like there was like a time recently where in a conversation with Kim, he was like, I'd four stock you every game, and it's like, dude, I literally should have won two out of the five games we played in our set. Instead it was like 3-1. It's like, so how can you possibly say that? Would be something else I'd like to hear your take on. So yeah, there's like a whole lot of things I'd like to talk about.
Okay. Sounds good. What do you want to start with?
Uh, I'm down to start with Lamar stuff actually.
The Marth stuff.
Uh, yeah.
Okay.
Uh, I have a. Oh, I have. Darn. I might note I have the Twitch VOD for this, but there is a YouTube VOD. Let me pull it up really quick.
Okay.
I did not notice that this was the YouTube VOD. So I played Aklo 3 out of the 4 sets this year. 3 of the games out of the 4 sets we played this year. I played Marth against him on FD. 3 of those games were Marth on FD, and I lost all of them, but 2 of them were last stock, and one of them was even last stock last hit where I just missed the downer to end it. Um, and uh it feels very demoralizing because like I literally play Marth on ranked and everybody's like one and dunning and taunting me, and then I play him against the good player and like it feels I guess doable. Like it feels like he's a really good option against the player, and like I have the tools to like make good decisions about like, oh, they're gonna do this thing, so I'm gonna cover it, and then I get like this reward. It feels like I guess I have a formula for like playing against them properly,
Mm-hmm.
but it's really hard to like compound that with like literally being unable to beat new players, I guess,
Yeah,
or
no, that is
feeling
super
unable to.
interesting to me. I'm very curious. Do you have a VOD of you losing to like a new player
I
or like a
don't
Slippy
on
or
hand. I'm trying to think
something?
if I could. Oh my gosh, I have this really bad habit where I don't save Slippy files because then I find myself like game counting always. I'm trying to think if there's a VOD where I played at a tournament and dropped the game on stream to a new player. There's a VOD that I have of when my Marth was newer where the game went really close against somebody who was like decently worse than me. We can maybe look at that. It was from earlier this year.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, I mean it's up to you, but I guess it's like you feel like your stuff is working here against Aklo, or that's
Yeah,
like,
I feel like he's like very terrified of me, is what it feels like.
mm-hmm.
Even though like if he just disrespected me, like I don't know.
Ah, oh, that was crazy.
Yeah, he is crazy. He always just tries and clip farms me because he's been beating me so bad this year.
So what are you looking for on me looking at this match?
I guess just the fact that it feels like I feel like you can already see it in the VOD. That's like I keep trying to catch him because it's like it feels like Fox can just if he gets close, he runs me over until I die. And when he's far away, I'm not like Fox where I have like a really good burst option. It's like I'm permanently on the back foot. Even like when he was cornered there and like he did that out smash out of corner, it's like I have to respect him. And like you can see I keep like running away with like dash back shield and stuff, and, like wave dash back. It's
Mm-hmm.
actually feels like I'm playing as the time bomb. There's just at any point he could hit me once and kill me, whereas he's at 164 right now.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, he can't hit you at all times, right? Like this is kind of how I try to like look at it is like if I'm dashing back, start assuming that Fox was a decent distance away before the dash back. Like if I'm dashing back, I know that during that dash back, they can't be hitting me. And
Hmm.
I know that like during my late fair, they also can't be hitting me. And so and I also know that during the early part of my nair, they can't really be hitting me. And so there's actually like a big chunk of time in like Marth's movement where they can't be hitting you at all. And
Interesting.
I think that like that those are basically the windows where you want to be like thinking. Where like you want to
Oh,
like that like you jump up, they don't hit you out of the startup of your short hop, and so you have like the late fair, and like the time between your jump and actually doing the late fair is where you like do all of your like calculations for stuff you'll do like when you're actually vulnerable. And I think that that can somewhat help with the pressure because if you feel like you're gonna get hit at any point, then you're kind of caught in like this like loop of like scrambling over and over and stuff like that,
yeah.
and you don't really get a chance to like actually because like Marth is very like control based, and like zoning and stuff like that, and so if you feel just really pressured and you're kind of throwing moves out all the time, he's never gonna feel very strong. Whereas like I feel like every short hop I get that they don't attack into is like it's like a breath of fresh air where I get to chill for a second and then like think of the way that I'm gonna like try to keep out their next option.
I
Um,
see. That makes a lot of sense.
so that could be potentially helpful because it feels like there's definitely points in the match where like they cannot hit Marth. Like it's literally impossible to hit Marth for good amounts of time, and like you at the very least should not feel threatened during those zones. And I think a lot of times the Marth Fox matchup is like Marth Marth wanting to basically do like what Marth really wants is to like short hop in and then Fox corners themselves and then you get like a late fair but it's super safe and you get to like do safe pressure or safe pressure with nair or safe pressure with fair, safe dash dance pressure. Like ideally you just want to be able to like repeat your safe things over and over until Fox eventually gets hit, and then that's kind of like a way to win with like no risk or whatever. And I think
Oh,
what's up?
oh no, that idea is just I think lately, or not lately, for the longest time, I've thought of Marth very almost, I guess, too proactively, where like I have to, it's like I have to make a play rather than making them give me something.
Yeah, no, you definitely Marth definitely wins the longer they don't give it to him. um, so because like okay, so you're trying to like repeat this safe pressure that you can do like because you outrange Fox basically. Like if you both try to play perfectly safe, eventually you'll get like the hit first. Uh,
Yeah,
and so like you're trying to play this super safe game and Fox does not want to like play super passive and let you just play this safe game over and over. So they're going to try to find a way in on like your position to get past the safe stuff. And so what you're doing is like when you short hop up and you're gonna do like a late fair, maybe Fox is in a range where after that late fair you don't have guaranteed safety. Like Fox has succeeded in creating a position where you don't have guaranteed safety. Then like a bunch of times the only option they really have to actually get you for it is kind of like a readable thing. Like for instance, like you do like short hop late fair dash back and then you dash dance for a second, and then you do short hop, late fair, dash back, and then you chill for a second, and then you do one more, and like during this one, Fox happened to space just outside of the forward air, and then after this forward air, you dash in under their nair because they were trying to hit your dash back, and then you get a grab. That
I
would be
see.
like sort of like what you're trying to play where they're trying to like find holes. I usually say that Marth is setting up a security system and then Fox is trying to hack it.
That makes so much sense,
and
actually.
and so you want to like create like you want to find the spots that seem the most hackable from Fox's end and then read those punish like not those punishes but read them trying to hit you with a mix with like a hard punish.
I see. Yeah, that is like, I feel like it's funny because there were points where I was like only playing Marth for whatever reason for like a month, where the game felt way more natural to me, where it's like I would just be really slippery, and it's like the openings would just come to me, and
Mm-hmm.
it feels like whenever I get into that space where like I'm playing him maybe on the side of like Puffer Fox or something, that I try and force things really hard. So it's like I'm like, oh, they're gonna like be here exactly. I'm like space my tipper fair, or like I'm gonna like run up grab them at this timing. It feels like the times where I've fallen into that mentality, it like again he feels like a low tier.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the times where I was only playing him and just like accidentally kind of came into that like flow where I'm just like dash dancing and moving back and like randomly throwing out an air and kind of like checking for an easy reaction constantly,
Mm-hmm.
uh, made him feel like really, really strong, I guess.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think also against Fox, there's like let's say you are doing this safe wall type thing or like safe-ish options and then there's a spot where it looks like Fox can maybe like hack his way in and then there's only one direction to like attack from or one spot that seems kind of reasonable. Like basically Fox sees the position where it looks like they can go in, but they are going to assume that you as the Marth are going to like hard read that, you know?
Yeah,
And so they won't actually bite at the spot where you're kind of vulnerable. And that is sort of your goal in neutral because if you can do that, if you can cause them to not bite at like potential vulnerabilities, then you can hold them at the mid range because their
yeah,
whole thing is they get into the mid range and then they try to find a moment very quickly because I'm sure you've seen the Fox Marth lessons that I've done where like
yeah.
you don't want to sit in the mid range too long as the Fox
Yeah,
because
you
you
gotta
can
get
get
close.
dash attacked or grabbed or jump fared or all these types of things. And so like if you can force them to not bite at the potential openings, then they'll end up staying in the mid range, which opens them up to like, for instance, like dash attacks.
Yeah,
Um,
that
and
makes so much sense.
that's kind of like the steps to it to like make it a little bit more effective. Because if you run around and you're like, okay, I'm dash dancing and Fox is dash dancing. How do I hit him? Like you're not gonna be able to hit Fox.
Yeah,
Like you can't hit almost anyone if they're just dash dancing and you're dash dancing. All Marth has is like eventually go for a down tilt. Like he doesn't really have anything there unless you break that with like a short hop.
That definitely makes sense. It's weird because I feel like whenever I talk to people about Fox nowadays, like as in like Fox from his own perspective, I think about like how you need to kind of like force the issue more with Fox uh than people do currently, and it feels very strange to me to be like trying to learn Marth, and I guess almost you just kind of like hold them there. I guess it's like they're different characters, so it's obvious, but it's so weird to me to have to like change the way I'm thinking about it based on the character, I guess, which is weird to say if like you're playing multiple characters, but it feels very difficult.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think like playing multiple characters is really really hard. I know that
Yeah,
firsthand. Like the plans get swapped, they get mixed up. I try to have like little markers like oh like if I'm not doing X or like if X or Y situation isn't coming up often enough, then I'm probably playing the character wrong. Um, the easiest example that might even be too easy is like when I play Sheik against like Falco, I get really caught into like attacking and hitting, and then I'm
yeah.
like I have to question like did you do a tech chase recently? And like if I'm not getting like long tech chases, then I'm probably like defaulting to like this wrong way of playing the matchup, you know. Um, and like I think there's you kind of need to find like so there's a combination of the things that I check for of like is this coming up as often as it should be, and then like a rehearsal of like okay I'm playing this character, they think like this, they play like this, and just kind of going over that really quick every time I switch characters.
Yeah,
um because it's really really tough. Switching characters is genuinely super hard. And I don't
yeah.
I don't have like a guaranteed solution for it. I think just like doing your best to set yourself up with like repeating your game plan before playing the character, and then while playing the character having like a set of like two or three like checks of like oh has the last minute been like this, does like for instance you could do a thing where you're like you could tie Marth feeling like a low tier to like a few situations or spacings that like happen that like make you feel that way.
Oh, I
And
see what
then
you
like
mean.
if those situations come up a bunch of times in a row and you start feeling that way, then like you can use that like feeling of feeling like Marth is bad as like a trigger to like activate like oh wait when I feel this way it means I'm not using these parts of the character as well or
Yeah,
as much. uh and it's not 100% reliable, but that like it helps. It's better than doing nothing, you know, and just kind of
yeah.
playing, because otherwise it's really really easy to get mixed up.
No, that makes so much sense to me. A habit I've had for like the longest time is I always change like my in-game tag in between games of sets, where like or even at the start of sets too. Like when I sat down to play Jmook, I put on like the FFFF tags, like remind me like follow like your game plan against Sheik,
Yeah.
and it like reminds me of like the like you full hop and like you do like back air like call space, you try and like drop your up air on her, and then like you have to mix up
Mm-hmm.
with like the empty land and like drift away if she's like starts smashing at you. What's it called, and, like fish for up tilt, stuff like that. And it's funny though because I noticed that if I leave the same tag on for too long, then I'll forget the stuff, and it's like then I have to like
Yeah.
change the tag to like remind me in some other way, like of stuff to do.
No,
Um,
exactly. It's definitely like a constantly changing dramatic process.
Yeah, yeah,
Or
it is.
dynamic
It's definitely
process.
very annoying. I guess I just feel jealous of people where it's like like Zane sits down every time and just plays Red Marth and
Oh
honestly like
yeah, no,
doesn't
I
have
think
to
about
think
that
about this
too.
stuff. Dude, it's so annoying to me. It's like I could just sit down and do the same thing every time. I feel so jealous of people that just can, I guess.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I think it Yeah, I think it's just like a preference thing. Like, there's advantages and disadvantages to both. I think playing multiple characters keeps your perspective fresh, but then, like, sometimes too fresh. Too fresh to be
Yeah,
like optimized perfectly. But I think that like playing like no like nothing against like Zane or anything, but like it definitely or like Cody, but like sitting around playing one character all day, every single day for years, and then like still just losing to like something is like
yeah,
low key like I think worse than like playing multiple characters and stuff like that. Like you can just end up in this like rut basically a lot easier when playing one character and realize that you've like accidentally grinded all of these habits that like are now not that good into your nervous system.
interesting. I have definitely not thought of it like that. Well, I think the reason I haven't thought about it like that like myself is because I have trouble not looking exclusively at the advantages. Where it's like, yeah, if I just only played Fox all this time, like I could just mash at people and just win like for free, like without thinking. Um, and it's like it's so hard not to like look at what to me always feels like such a massive advantage compared to like this sounds weird, but like keeping your perspective fresh, I feel like is such it's a it feels like a microscopic advantage compared to like like the worldly like winning X set because you've only
Hmm.
practiced this one punch for 1,000 years.
Yeah.
Um, but I guess you need to just it's kind of like a be a better person thing where it's like just because something is like worldly in nature doesn't mean you should prefer it, I guess.
Yeah, it just really depends on like what you prefer and like your enjoyment of the game and stuff like that. And like no strategy you do will guarantee success, you know? Like there's nothing
Yeah.
that guarantees that you'll win a thing. So I think like you should try to win like the way that you like prefer to win overall. But I do think that like there are probably times where like before an event or something that I should like look at my bracket and realize that I have mostly just like one character to play and like extra grind that character. Like there's definitely like ways to like objectively like maximize it and stuff, but I
Hmm.
think like it's just not the biggest deal. Like there's just basically there's plenty of other reasons to be jealous of people in Melee other than the fact that they like play one character, you know?
Yeah,
Like
I think for me it's such a like I just feel jealous of those people I think because I do objectively think it would have been better for me to just play one character. And I think even if I started playing one character like today, it would be objectively better for me. But I
yeah, I
have
mean
trouble sticking to that.
I think that sometimes stuff like that helps with like you can make like a challenge for yourself. You can be like, okay, I'm gonna play only this character for like 3 months or something.
Yeah.
Like I did that during the summer. This summer, I just only played Fox for like 3 months. I basically didn't touch my other two characters. Like I didn't touch Falco in particular, like for like a while.
Yeah.
And I think that can be like useful, and then you can feel it out whether you want to play like multiple characters again.
Yeah, I think I need to try something like that with Marth for sure because there's like watching Osprey and Zane all the time, it definitely just makes me hate that I don't have a very good Marth.
Makes sense. I definitely feel
Like,
like that every time I watch Ossify. I'm like, man,
yeah.
my Marth is slow.
Yeah, no, oh my god, I cannot. Watching Osprey play, he's so sick. It's just crazy to me.
um, okay, so do you want to keep going with this? Do you want to talk about one of the other things you brought up?
Uh, I I would like if you could maybe point out some examples of spots where like, unless you feel like it's just so far gone from me holding my space where it's like I should like go and try and like set up those situations again in my games and like try and I guess like problem solve it myself. Unless you think that you could look at this VOD and be like you were keeping it here, and then like you ran in and like forfeited what basically should have been a spot where Marth holds that mid range. If that makes sense.
Well, I guess it feels um if you're not you should basically be able to just find like find people who are like a lot worse and then hold the zone. Like
Yeah,
because you were saying you're having trouble versus like the not very good. Like I just don't care how well you do against Aklo's Fox if you're not consistently beating the worst foxes. Cause
yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
so it feels like I'm like, okay, like why don't you just try that stuff against people that you can like just repeat it over and over and like four stock them, and then
Yeah,
like kind of move up in the skill level until you can do it against Aklo. And I mean, it's good that
yep,
you're able to do well against Aklo, but like clearly there's like a giant hole if you're having trouble against the bad players, and like you can fix that hole, and then we can just take a look again at like you versus Aklo. And yeah, see, this was on you. I thought you missed the sweet spot, but like you just
yeah.
you
He
just went
fastballed it
went for
perfectly.
the shine. Yeah.
Yeah, I need to work on that for sure. But yeah, I will definitely keep playing Marth and keep that in mind and just work on trying to. I guess I'll start by just trying to like hold it out for as long as possible, and
Yeah.
then like kind of try and get conversions off it from there.
Yeah, I think like try to be try to be cognizant of like this was the like you do like a late fare and you're like, okay, do I like am I threatened at all? Like is there any way for them to like hit me for sure? And then like if there isn't, then just kind of keep going. And then if there is, see if you can like deal with that in a different way. Like the example I gave of like you end up really close to them and then you dash through after the fair. Uh, it like it is very much like the laser, like we talked about, where like you do the fair and then like as your fair is coming out, you like check the ranges and you check the position and you kind of decide like what your next move is gonna be. Um,
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's like I think I'm so like Fox, like brain wormed that like it's so weird to me to think of playing a character where you're doing something, you're like checking them while you're doing something instead of just like you do something and then you do something else and then
that's
you do
super
something else.
funny. Yeah, that's the control characters. That's like
Oh my god.
Falco and Marth. They do a
Dude,
move and
that's
then they're
so
like
weird.
look, whereas Fox just does a move and doesn't look and then does another move.
Yeah, that is insane actually to think about. Okay, that gives me I am so happy to have some direction with Marth. I feel like it's been so long. Um would you be down to look at Puff Fox from like Puff's perspective now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I have the game one of this set. Uh, I played all Puff in this set. And game one was like I feel like a massive choke for me because I literally had an RTC arrest. I just didn't. I like psyched myself out of going for it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, what's it called? Um, in this matchup right now, it's weird because I can't ever play friendlies in it. It feels like because it's just too boring. But then in tournament, like I'm just like you could just move around and just go for stuff constantly, and it feels super super fun. Yeah.
um. Huh. I've heard people say stuff like that. Like Fran says that, the Doc player, where he's like, yeah,
Uh-huh.
I don't like playing Doc in friendlies, but I like him in tournament or whatever. I'm pretty sure he
Yeah, I
said
feel.
that like
Oh
a
my
bit ago.
god,
And
I
like,
feel that exactly.
I have trouble understanding that feeling. I'll be honest, like,
Yeah, it's been really hard to. It's
because it
everybody's
should be
just like,
kind of
okay, you
it
gotta
should
figure it
be
out.
like the same thing, pretty much. You know, like what is it about the tournament that makes it fun? Like, do you feel like in friendlies, like the rests and stuff, like don't have as
Oh, I think it's just I've been watching HBox play like on tournament stream since I was a little kid, so it's just like it reminds me of that. I think
okay,
in
like
this
it
weird sort
puts
of
you in
way.
the zone that like you're really going for it, I guess.
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah, definitely. Like going for those two like random Hail Mary reps, 3, 4 in friendlies just feels terrible, and doing it in tournament feels so good.
I haven't thought of a response to that yet.
Yeah. Sorry, I know it's a very like weird thing to feel, I think, compared to other people.
I do think that like in friendlies you're not gonna be like in friendlies you should be like trying to be like, can I punish this thing? You know?
Yeah.
Like that should be more of the fun part. I don't think going for like I don't think like going for like the big grab on like dash in or something is gonna be all that fun in friendlies. But I think like making sure you capitalize, making sure you move, making sure you're doing solid options, those should all still be pretty fun.
Interesting.
Because like you're trying to like train to get better for the tournament. Like there's like I definitely play cheesier in tournament than like in friendlies for sure, and it's definitely way more fun to like get some early kill in tournament. But like friendlies are fun for like a different reason. Like you're trying to train all these other elements of your play.
Yeah, it's so weird. I don't know if this is accurate or not, but it just feels like the thing that I'm good at is like I have these really strong character matchup dependent options that I go
Mm-hmm.
for. And like that's how when I beat people in a tournament, I win like off of that. And then I'm so bad at every other part of the game that I in friendlies I lose like every game, like everybody. Like for instance, I beat Preeminent at this turn. It's like we played friendlies like a little bit before, and like I got JV5 one of the games. Because like I'm just like going for stuff that just like
Yeah. Okay, but like okay, so yeah, that's interesting. I do think though, like this is just kind of true like for anybody who's like an imbalanced player, like if you're mad imbalanced and you know it and you're still doing well, you just have the easiest fixes like in the whole world. Like you can just like get decent at the other stuff and then you'll just be like thrashing people. Like if you have one skill that's letting you compete at this level and you're like, well, all my other skills are awful, then it's like, hey, like you could just like use like buff up the other skills a little bit, and then it sounds like a free dub because it feels like I mean Loki. That's how I feel. Like I feel I like my talents are more so in like reading people and like competing and stuff, and or like more so that's like what I use to win as like my basis. And I think that like sure that lets me still like compete and do well, but like if if I have bad tech skill and I get stuck in shine every time, maybe I can still pull it out, but like it would be so easy to just get better and not get stuck in shine and then like four stock people, you know.
I guess for me the problem is that I don't necessarily feel like uh what's it called? I don't necessarily feel like I guess I know the things that I'm bad at in this weird like the specific things that I'm bad at. I guess.
Hmm. Well,
Like here for example, like I could talk about how like I missed the drift on that jump, but it's like such a rare occurrence, I guess, that that happens. It feels more like it's the thing where it's like I'm really bad. I always get really bad shakes when I'm last stock with somebody. Like there's something that I'm bad at, but that doesn't really at all feel related, I guess, to having to, basically like cheese to win my sets, I guess.
mm-hmm. Well, like what went differently during preeminent four stocking you and you winning in tournament, you know?
Uh Removing every spot that I'm bad at and only playing the positions that I'm good at.
So you do know which spots you're bad at.
Oh, I guess that's true. I guess I do know. For example, it's like I'm really bad in like these close scraps where Fox can stand still and my wave dash in grab won't catch him, but if I do a turnaround up tilt, he'll reactively dash and grab me. It's like a position where I'm
Mm-hmm.
bad at. Because I'm bad at it for a lot of reasons too. Because like if he does, if he grabs me there, let's say that I do throw something out and like he successfully reads me, and my option wasn't necessarily bad, but like he guessed right. I'm not very good at like DIing Fox up throw, so like a lot of the times the Fox will kill me there because I don't have like the H box like up air SDI, or like I'm not as good at consistently like holding behind so I don't get hit by the laser, like mashing out a jab or what's it called, pummel. There's like all of these things that I'm really bad at. in that spot, which I mean, I guess I should just problem solve those
Yeah, that
exactly
sounds
like I just
perfect.
did. I guess.
Sounds like you just have
Yeah.
like an easy list of things to lab, and then you'll just be crushing.
I guess you're right. I guess it's not as complicated as if I like basically it's like if the plan from here on out was like stick it doesn't even have to be the character I want to stick with permanently, but let's say I'm like stick to Marth for 2 weeks, I do that and like I force those spots that I'm bad at while also on the working on like well the first spot I should practice that I'm bad at is like preserving that mid range against Spacies and everybody really in particular.
Mm-hmm.
Um and then like I problem solve like the byproducts of that situation so that I'm really good in all of them. And like I do that for 2 weeks and I'm like, okay, well actually I want to go back to Puff for 2 weeks. And then I would just, like I just do that and like that's the plan. It's like that plan should be consistent until like I fix a lot of the spots that make me lose every game of friendlies to people that are either at my skill level or like a little bit worse sometimes even.
Mm-hmm.
Uh So
I
yeah, I don't know. I guess I kind of just said everything, like all the portions of that. I
I
guess.
think also like I think that there's there's like a lot of ambiguity, especially like when you're like, why am I bad? And like you can make a like and you start listing off reasons, and then there's very quickly this feeling like, wait, there's like 1,000 things. Like I'm lost in the fact that there's so many things, and like it's kind of ambiguous whether those things are really that big of a fix or not. And I think like what you got to do is just find things that like you can get objectively better at and just improve at those things, and like not worry about it too much. like like you don't have to worry too much about whether SDIing up throw up air is like the most important thing that you could be working on, or like wave dash crouching or whatever is the most important thing, or like wave dashing in and up airing, or dealing with like a scrap with Fox and getting like a CC grab or something. Like you can just pick any of the spots and then get better at them. Like I think,
Yeah,
yeah, it doesn't really matter like what order you do, as long as you just keep like finding them.
yeah, I agree. Do you know about Artwing? Actually, like the tool that lets you like plug in your games into Uncle Punch.
No, I might have heard of it, but not really. Is it like a thing that lets you like go into the replays?
Yeah, basically it lets you take over your inputs and replays. So like for instance, uh if I wanted to practice like jumping out of the way of this up air after he does this nair, I could just plug this situation exactly if I had the SLP in. Oh wait, this was the wrong situation I was thinking of.
No worry.
Uh, but basically it like lets you have the Fox do the same inputs, whereas the Puff, like I could have taken control of Puff after that up throw, and the Fox will do the same up air here,
Yeah,
and I can
exactly.
practice SDIing it.
I
So
think
like
that I think that's pretty good.
yeah, it goes to what you were saying of like problem solve anything.
Yeah,
As long
exactly.
as you get to enough stuff, like you'll see improvement.
And like you just practice that a little bit, and you're like, okay, like what's another spot that I could be better at? And like as long as you like, the hardest part of this game is knowing like what you're doing wrong. And so like if you know what you're bad at and what you're good at, even like intuitively, then like you're not in too bad of a spot. You can just fix the stuff.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
But did you want me to look at anything else in this VOD, or like what are?
Um, there's a if you could we look at maybe game three of this set?
Yeah, I'm
I
down.
feel like in game three he starts just pulling back a lot, and I tilt, and I get into that spot where I think I still try and do the double wave dash stuff we talked about after last time.
Okay.
The last time we talked about this matchup, but
Yeah.
it still felt like he was pulling so far back, I like couldn't do anything,
I
I
definitely
guess.
think this game it stood out to me a lot that you didn't do any empty lands off the waveland, like empty land off the side plat, and because like look like right here, if you do like empty land right here, in like if you just wave dash off empty land and Fox dashes back, you already have like a corner mix up on Fox here.
Yeah, I actually think that goes back to what I was saying, where when I land next to him and I'm like he's outside my instant wave dash and grab range, I'm like really bad at that position. So I've
I
like preconditioned myself from like avoiding it all the time to like not land there, even though I should
I
just be good
see.
at it.
Yeah, I see. That makes sense. I think it's not. I think it's an uncomfortable position in general unless they're cornered, because you have like really good threats there. Like you have the instant back air, you have checking their jump with up air, you have run up grab. Like it's just like a spot where you have really strong like mixes in general. Um, but I think if you're close to them and like I think landing next to Fox when he's in like center stage or whatever is not all that good. A lot of times you just wave dash in some random direction, keep playing neutral. But if you
Yeah,
can get him in the corner, then you can kind of at least just like hold him there, like look for like basically when you have them in the corner, you should just do like threatening movements. You don't really need to think about like what do I hit them with in the corner. You more want to like pressure them for being in the corner.
I see. That definitely makes a lot of sense. Um, okay, you know what? Actually, I think that with that in mind, if you want to use the rest of our time to look at a Fox Ditto, I feel
Sure.
like that gives me that alone just gives me like I guess to just for completeness have something to work with every character, if that makes sense. Um, as I have been actively, I haven't been able to play as much lately, but I have been actively working on like every all three of the characters.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I think that. Do you remember when there was that period of time where you talked about how like you were going soothsay mode when you were learning Fox?
Yeah.
I definitely feel like I'm in the position where, especially because I'm kind of on my Fox hater arc, especially after this tournament where like it felt like Josh and Kem kind of like greased me a little bit in the way that they played against me. Um, where it's just like, wow, you're just repeating the same mix up over and over again, and it's really annoying. Uh, Whereas I feel like I was like kind of like doing stuff a lot of the time to like try and catch them. uh I've definitely been on like my Fox is really dumb and I want to be able to like when I go Fox, I want the games to like be like I'm like Cody style running them over as opposed to having to I guess think really hard if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Where it feels like if I have to like go off of like a game plan that you talk about in your lessons, I almost feel like I'm giving them too much credence for a really easy character. If that makes sense.
I do get what you're saying. I think that I think like you can force stuff as Fox. Like you can play like Cody. You basically have to like be crazy, crazy, crazy locked in like all the time.
Yeah.
like
I
like that dude is reacting to everything all the time. Like it's actually crazy. It's like hard to see just watching. I'm sure you played him before, but like he literally just like reacts to everything super fast constantly. And like he's mostly like he's just kind of like using Fox to do that in a lot of positions. And I think that like it's not really like the right way to play Fox. You know, he's just kind of using Fox's strengths to like he's combining one of Fox's strengths with his talent to try to like force a dub. But I think like when that doesn't work, you need like a game plan to back it up. I don't think there's anything wrong with using it until it doesn't work. Like if you're playing against like a lower like a player who's like below you, it's not bad to try to just force it and stuff, but I think that like it can be a bad habit and it can train your Fox to be kind of like dependent on playing super super well and locked in, and especially if you're playing multiple characters, it's kind of hard to have like the consistency level to like just constantly like smack people around with Fox. But I do think it's really
Interesting.
fun.
Yeah, no, that's the thing, and I guess I've kind of thirsted for this because of having trouble like really enjoying friendlies at all. Where like I want to be able to play Fox in this really fun way, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Where like it's like I'm playing a session with Puff and I'm not feeling it. I want to be able to have like a competitive, really aggressive Fox instead of like, oh well, like you gotta start games against Sheik with like up down so you can get like the early percent to get like the up throw up air into like the basic bread and butter juggle.
I love that stuff.
Yeah, no, that's the weird thing too. Is I love that stuff, and I love that stuff when in tournament. Like I love that stuff in tournament, and then in friendlies, I find myself not loving it as much.
Huh.
I guess.
Do you feel like you're like not like you're not like competing with people in friendlies, or I'm just it's just an interesting perspective.
Do I feel like I'm not competing with them? I guess it feels like I have to burn so much energy to like I have to burn so much energy for like no payoff, I guess is what it feels like.
Huh.
Like there's nothing cool about cooking somebody in friendlies. Unless it's like I feel like when I watch Say just like play friendlies with someone or even Zane play friendlies with somebody, like they're hitting like all this stuff that's super crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Um and it's like winning off like I don't know, like a specific game plan in friendlies just doesn't seem that cool to me as like being able to like hit. I don't know, like even like 1/20th of like the combos I see like Zane hit in his average friendly session with somebody.
Yeah, that's fair. Like I do think that like never going beyond that game plan in friendlies is bad. Like you do want to use them to like explore and stuff like that. But I think hmm.
Yeah, and to be fair, you did already give like I guess a sort of formula for that by being like you, for example, the spot I gave with Puff where I was really struggling, where like we're next to each other, but they're outside my wave dash and grab range. In Fox Puff, being like you need to like get good at that spot because you can see in friendlies that you're bad at it, so you got to practice so you can be good at it in tournament too. That is like I think an example of like going beyond. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I guess the problem maybe is just I guess
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know. I guess there's no problem with that. Like that's just how it should be, I suppose.
Yeah, I feel like maybe you just need to like set up a better like reward system for yourself in friendlies of like I do it a lot in friendlies where I just like try really, really, really hard to force stock somebody.
Yeah.
And like that can kind of give me a little bit more of like a reward system, or I'm gonna try really, really hard to combo in a specific way, or I'm gonna try really hard to power shield every laser, and that sort of like gives me a bet a like a feeling of victory or defeat that like I can try really hard to like complete the challenge separate from like oh I took your stock that like because that you're right like taking stocks in friendlies is like pretty empty, whereas like in
Yeah.
tournament you're like I did it, and so like I try to like create some additional like challenges and stuff like that, and I think that usually helps.
Yeah, I think so I totally agree with all that. I guess the only problem for me right now is just that so if I were to like go and like implement all of these things we've talked about in regards to playing friendlies, the one missing piece I feel like is that I do like exceptionally bad when I'm not game plan spamming. Where it's like um when I do focus on other things, I I can't like put up, like even like game wins against people that are around my skill level, I guess. And sometimes like way worse. Which maybe that's just okay and like it'll like come with time of like implementing that sort of reward system for myself in games. And like eventually I'll get good enough to the point where it's like I'll win despite not having that in mind. But I guess it feels really demotivating right now, tilting.
Hmm. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Hmm. Give me one sec. So maybe like maybe you can game plan spam anyway, but you find a game plan that's more uh like you make like a different game plan that's like less brutally effective and more optimized for like getting the stuff you want or like trying cool things, but it's still like a game plan.
Oh, that's
Um,
I've never tried that before. That's
because
a really
like
interesting idea.
I've definitely done that. I used to call it like sub styles, where I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna try my absolute hardest with these three moves in neutral only.
Interesting.
And like, because I think like the way your brain works and like coming up with like I can imagine you getting into the game and being like, okay, well, we do this here, we space here, it makes sense, the game plan, and then you're like, okay, I'm gonna play without a game plan, and you're like, does that just mean random buttons? I guess it means random buttons, you know, and like,
Yeah.
and it's like I can understand, but like when other people are playing the non-game plan style, it's still a game, like they're still using a game plan subconsciously. The game plan is just like based on different like reward, like you like they get different reinforcement rewards from stuff of like maybe they get a like they're like, okay, well, instead of this comboing, like instead of getting like maximum return on value for this being like the most efficient move to do here, maybe I get the biggest value out of it because I did an edge cancel into another move. And like kind of
No,
like
that makes so much sense.
tuning the game plan to like towards the cooler things and like making a cooler type of game plan and then trying that out and seeing how that goes could be like a solution.
Yeah, no, that'd be so interesting. It's like an example I could think of that is like uh you know how in Fox Sheik you talk about like your rule of threes?
Mm-hmm.
In like the current game plan I use, I like think about first like like lasering her until I get to the point where I get like a lot of reward off of that, and then doing like a cross up pairs or like cross up drills and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. And like only playing that spacing, but instead the game plan could be like you're looking for like these like low percent running shines on her out of the rule of threes, or like and like you're
Exactly.
using like shield and stuff to get close to her, and then you start your dash dance with like a dash back into it, into like a rule of three, into like a cross up drill. uh yeah, that would
Exactly.
be so different. Oh my god,
Because
from
you're
like
still trying to do like the good stuff at some level, but you're like combining it with fresh stuff, you know?
yeah, okay, that I don't even think anything more needs to be said on that. That gives me a fantastic idea for like moving forward with that sort of thing.
Awesome.
Yeah, that will be. Oh my God, like it's so strange to think about how different that'll be. I have a what's it called?
Fox did it?
Yeah, I would be down to look at a Fox Ditto or a game of Fox Chic of me versus Jmook. Uh, either I'm trying to think which one would be better to look at. I feel like in the Fox Ditto, I like successfully do kind of force the issue a lot, and then against Jmook, I feel like I try and force the issue, but I lose really hard.
Yeah,
Um,
that makes sense.
oh
He's
my God,
very good at preventing forcing the issue.
yeah, the moment he made it so I couldn't cross up upper him anymore, he started destroying me.
Mm.
And, like I literally won a game two off of him just by hitting. Like I hit a cross up upper into like a solid juggle, and he just couldn't claw back like the losses that he get off of giving me that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so yeah, I'd actually game. It's a timestamp the VOD I linked.
Okay.
Game four of this, because game three he brutalizes me. But game four of this set, I think it's a Pokemon game. It should switch to the mainstream. I'm pretty sure for it if you just skip ahead. Uh, you could see him just do like he does like a lot of wave dash back react stuff, and I just never am able to like claw it back. This is Agent Akla. This VOD.
Yeah, so do you want me to just start at like the beginning of the game here, or?
Oh, that's the game I was talking about was a Fox Sheet game.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, this is
It's
game one.
got it. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, the multi-stream VODs are very annoying. It's so cool at the tournaments
Yeah.
when they upload them separately after.
Hey, he got the game one.
Yeah, in game two he
Okay.
just plays very bad.
Nice. I do think really very small thing, but I think that right here, I've been going for a lot of. You can do dash back, dash in, like single hit drill, grab up throw up air because the up throw up air will kill here, rather than
Oh,
like
that's
naring
really
there because they
smart.
slide to edge. I think like the drill grab is super strong there.
Yeah, playing against Jmook and Zane is crazy because it feels like they're slide. Like, I know logically that like you can't hard aerial them in the corner because they're gonna slide off to the ledge, like just their characters. It's so different playing against an actual competent player who can do it every time
Yeah,
without. It's just so different that it's insane.
definitely. So what were you think? So you're saying there's like a point in this game where he pulls away, or
It's if you this game I end up winning, and then next game he takes
okay.
like a couple of minutes to like adapt in between games, and then like he waits on the character select, and then in the game after that,
Wait,
uh
did you get reverse 3-0'd?
yeah, I get reverse through.
Okay.
Also, my reactions are way worse because I get very very shaky.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, it's hard.
So what were you hoping to get out of you watching this one?
I guess just how to like, even not that I should have played any better because you're gonna be like really nervous in this situation, but I guess just how to deal with the fact that it feels like he waits a lot and I can't force the issue, I guess. Even though I feel like it should be in my game plan where like I'm playing like these dash dance spacings where I feel like I should be able to open him up because even there where I ended up really close to him and I accidentally don't do like when he's on the side plat doing that needle, I feel like I should have been able to get something, but he's so like he's just like moving around. I can't catch him even when I do knock him down.
So, um, I'm not sure how much you've played this matchup from the Sheik end,
A decent
but
amount actually.
it's somewhat similar to Falco Fox, where like this like Sheik's job is basically to find the positions where Fox has like I don't even know the word, like guaranteed gamble attack type things, and
Hmm.
then like turn those into true neutral, which is part of why she loses the matchup because she just has to work really, really hard to turn like positions into neutral positions. And unlike Falco, she can't like randomly turn them back to advantage positions with a laser.
Yeah.
um, and so like basically the better the Sheik that you play against, and I've noticed this in particular this year, is they're getting really, really good at it. In particular, like Crudo and Jmook, but even like I think Ben has like a much rougher version of it, but he's getting better at it. Where like any situation that is even mildly chaotic, they just dip.
Oh my gosh, I played Crudo before one of the tournaments I went to this year. And it was one of those things where he was destroying me every game. And in the last game, I game plan spammed and I did really well against him. I lost, like, we were both at like 150% live stock. And I instantly started complaining in his DMs about it's like, okay, you literally just avoid positions. Like, I can avoid your good positions too. And then all of a sudden, it doesn't feel so easy. And it's like, it's so, what's that called? It feels so hard to deal with because I don't know how to beat it other than to like treat it the same way they do, where they're avoiding your good positions and then you're avoiding their good positions, and it feels like it becomes like a stalemate, like actual like 5 to 6 minute games that end up happening.
So yes. I do think that it essentially, like, for a long time, I didn't really think that she could do it, but after playing Crudo a bunch this year, I'm, like, convinced that, like, really good Sheik play does allow you to stall out the Fox sets
Oh my
for a
god.
pretty good amount of time. It's very difficult to actually get in. I do think that basically I think that it makes the matchup a lot more even, that she can do it. I think that Fox still has the good approaches, but
Hmm.
they are just like fewer and further between rather than always having like an opportunity to like go in and do something. I think I think they're there, but you have to like put in more effort. I think Panda's really good at doing it, where like he'll find a spot where like the chances of Sheik hit, like he's technically vulnerable, but because you know that like you basically just factor one step further, where you're like, okay, the Sheik is always going to be avoiding my good positions. So every time I find a good position, rather than going in, I do a setup on Sheik's defense for that good position. And that's
I
basically like
see.
what Panda does like every time. He'll just like get into a spot where Sheik should like it should be a scramble that Fox wins, and then he'll just immediately attack the next position that Crudo goes to, which avoids then resets the first position.
Oh my God,
And
that almost sounds like Marth Fox to me, where it's like you have that mid spacing and then you get close and then you convert it into like that sort of opening that Marth just can't get down from.
it's it's kind of similar in that way, I guess. I definitely think it has like a somewhat different dynamic because like being in the mid range is pretty safe against Sheik comparatively. So like you can kind of hang out in the mid range for a while, and then like as you start to force it, that's when she like really starts dealing with stuff. So it's like a little bit
Interesting.
different, but I see like the similarities and like the flavors. Um, but yeah, I think that this matchup is essentially becoming a lot more mix up heavy, where like Fox has to do like they've basically made it where Fox has to do a big mix to hit them, which is like kind of takes away Fox's biggest advantage in the matchup was that he didn't need to do a real mix to hit Sheik. He just had to do something, and as long as it like wasn't predictable, he was fine. Um, so I basically think that like this matchup is getting somewhat close to even. Fox just wins off of like his hitboxes do more, and he capitalizes off of slight disadvantage. Like if Sheik has Fox in slight disadvantage, it's not that bad for Fox. But Sheik,
Yeah.
like if you actually get Sheik into a disadvantage, all the same old rules apply. But like while she's just chilling like on the ground, the neutral has gotten a lot harder.
Interesting.
A
That
lot
makes sense. It
harder.
it's funny that similar to how like you mentioned that I'm really bad at holding the mid range as Marth. I guess I'm probably also really bad at it against Sheik too as Fox.
Mm, yeah, I think a lot of like short hop fadeback drill is really good because it basically like if you just put a short hop drill every now and again, it like it just shows them that they can't randomly boost grab you basically, and it's kind of so fast that they can't really punish it as long as you're not doing it over and over like in every spot. Uh, and I think that that like lets you hold the mid range. And see, like if you get a spot like this where you're like, wait, I'm at a slight advantage, boom, and then like Sheik is worthless again. And that's why I still think Fox wins. But in terms of like the neutral and stuff, it's definitely like not like how it was a few years ago.
Interesting.
Like we all used to talk
That
we all used to talk about the clown nairs and how
yeah,
good
oh my
clown
gosh.
nair
My
was, and it's
go-tos.
like Clown Nair did not hold up to 700 more hours of Crudo gameplay.
Yeah.
Like, he put in those extra 700, and we were like, okay, alright. Clown Nair might be kind of done. Like, it's still good, but it's good, like, once every 45 seconds instead of, like, once every 3 seconds.
Yeah.
And that's just the Crudo effect. Oh, man, you almost had this 3-0. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I've been there.
There's like a JC shine here. I remember that I was like, if I hit, I might have caught his execution off. I was here, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you
I was
had
like, I
that.
might have had him on the bad execution,
Mm-hmm.
but I did not jump into it. Yeah.
Ultimately, though, the fact that you can go up 2-0 on Jmook is pretty big, so...
Yeah, and it feels like every time I listen to you talk or like talk to you, also I learn like 85 new things too, and I'm like, wow, and still like these people have been playing for like so long. It still feels like I like have a formula that if I was perfect could beat them. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like even though like the way that you actually beat them right is to add like 100 new things to the formula, but it's
Mm-hmm.
like I already have like a formula that like could work. It's just like I don't think I'm like really built for like entering tournaments and like dealing with like pressure and stuff. So it's like I need to have like
Mm.
a really foolproof one to win.
Yeah, I think it's easy to, like, be like, okay, if I did, like, if I did my formula perfectly, I would win. But, like, it's not perfect for anyone. Like, it's never ever perfect. And what you really want is like a system where you're like, I like I just need one out of like 30 things to go right. like
Yeah,
Jmook does not need to play perfectly to beat you. And it's
yeah,
because
he doesn't at all.
he has like an overwhelming number of things that allow him to win even when
He's
all
fault
these things
tolerant.
go wrong. And that's what you want. So you're like, okay, I can make one or two things that like beat these people or almost beat them, but it's like if two things almost beat these people, then what if five things just wins every time forever? You know?
Yeah, yeah, no, that is exactly how I've been trying to think about it, and
That's what I'm trying to think about it as too, because I'm like, no,
yeah,
like I've been doing so well with like not being that good at the game lately. It's like I need to
yeah,
actually just grind and be as good at them at the other parts of the game, and then like I'm almost winning with like half the game. So it sounds
yeah.
like it shouldn't be that bad.
Have you ever heard of like redundancy and like networking, where it's like you don't have just like two routers connect to each other. It's like you have one router connects to four routers, and if one of them fails, they go to
Yeah,
like one of the
yeah,
other three. Yeah,
yeah.
that's how I try and think of it, where it's like you need to have like redundancy in your
No,
play,
that
where it's
makes
like one
sense. You
thing's
definitely
failing.
do. You want it to be like not dependent on one little thing.
Yeah, that is definitely what I need to achieve to make
And
what's it called?
if you ever catch yourself thinking like, "Oh, I just need to be even more perfect." Usually that's like a trap. Usually there's like way more stuff that you can do that's like low-hanging fruit that you can fix. And if you honestly have like removed all low-hanging fruit and you still feel like you need to be perfect, that's usually just like a losing matchup.
That makes a lot of sense. I feel like so many of like my peers I always hear them talk about how like they play sets and it's like, oh, just my ledge dashes were bad, or it's like, oh, like I was just playing that bad today, and like they can't like explain it at all, and it's like I feel like that is exclusively because they're not looking to have like redundancy in like their play. Like they're not looking to have like multiple different avenues that they could win by.
Yeah, no,
Like
it's
they
it's
just want to hit their one thing, do their little tech skill routine.
no, I definitely think it's super easy to tunnel vision on melee losses. That's like really common. Like I think that it's so easy to lose and just be like, "Oh, I should have just hit this and that." And I think especially like the easiest example is like people will lose last hit game 5 and be like, "Bro, I missed my ledge dash." And it's like, "Why was it last hit game 5?"
Yeah,
You know, like
exactly.
maybe that's the thing we should be looking at and not like I can't believe Wispy pushed me.
Yeah. Yeah, that I totally agree with that. And I think I've avoided that this year. I guess I'm just not happy. I feel like I haven't solved enough problems, I guess,
Mhm.
right now. And next year I want to like I want to have like all the problems solved next year. I want to
Yeah.
like lose to Jmook and be able to look at like 8 different things like instantly and be like, okay, I'm gonna have like all of these things figured out, and the next time like
Yeah, no, that'd be great.
it won't be as much of a problem. Yeah, and it feels like this year was more about learning that lesson, I guess, than
Okay.
anything else.
Well, one step at a time, we keep going, keep
Yeah,
learning.
yeah. Thank you very much. As always, it has been an hour.
Yeah. Did you have any final thoughts, questions as we're closing up?
Um, did I have any other questions? No, I feel like I feel like we've talked about like at least four different like major things to work
Mm-hmm.
on, which lead into like all of these other small little things that I definitely need to just like rewatch the VOD of this and just like actually get to work on like fixing them, I think.
Awesome. Okay, sounds
Yeah.
good. Good
Yeah.
talking as always.
Yeah.
And
Thank you
I'll talk
very
to you
much.
later.
Yeah, I will. Talk to you later.
Peace.